That's the beginning, and it happens in the 14th century. The mufti becomes a political position, and at that point, the ruler starts telling him, we need a fatwa. You see. So our institutions were maintained privately. Why? So that there were no strings attached. So a man was free to teach with a clear conscience. But that comes from people that are concerned with the whole process of teaching and learning. So he says here, it was in essence privately supported, a private individual, the founder, instituted as waqf, his own privately owned property for a public purpose, that of educating a segment of the Muslim society which he chose. In one or more of the religious sciences and their ancillaries, he created his foundation by an act of his own free will without interference from any authority or power, because it's the right of every Muslim to start a Muslim institution to educate Muslims. That is a right of every Muslim, and you don't have to be an alim, but you have to find one that can teach the people. Even when the founder was caliph or sultan or other highly placed functionary, he created his institution in his capacity as a private individual. So even the sultan, like the sultan who made the Nizamiya, Nizamuddin, he was a great sultan from the Khorasan. And he set up a system of training of which Imam al-Ghazali was a chief advisor. He did it not as the sultan, he did it as a private individual, and gave them the authority to teach what they saw fit to teach, and he did not tell them, you have to teach this, you have to teach that, and teach that I'm a great ruler. Education was directed towards religious ends, because this is the point of education. Even training in medicine, in engineering, and all of these things, it is a fard kifaya, and a Muslim should do it with the intention to serve this ummah. Education is not to earn a degree so that you can eat and drink and buy a house and get married. That is not why we become educated, so we can serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as educated human beings. This is the point of education. This is why we're supposed to learn. And the Prophet said, whoever learns knowledge other than the sake of Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise him and expose him and say to people on Yawm al-Qiyamah, this man learned knowledge for other than my sake. وَمَنْ سَمَّعَ النَّاسِ سَمَّعَ اللَّهُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. The one who goes around saying what he knows and doing all these things, Allah will expose him on Yawm al-Qiyamah and say, so-and-so, look at him, so-and-so. He learned knowledge to be called a learned man. The first thing that the fire is lit for is a scholar who learned for other than the sake of God. And I'm telling you, that includes all the sciences, because they're all fara'id. So if you learned hendasa for other than the sake of God, you should have fear in your heart. If you didn't learn it to serve this deen, because your money is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسُهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. He bought you, your wealth, and yourself. And the deal, the bargain, is that you get Jannah and He gets your wealth and yourself. That's what Allah gets. And if Allah is not getting His due, you have no right to what He promised you. Education was directed towards religious ends, the salvation and eternal happiness of human beings. Sa'ada al-abadiyah. We're not here for very long. Some of us are 2/3 of a natural lifespan out of this world. Some of us are closer than that, and no one knows the ajal. Maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. And there's no Yawm al-Qiyamah. One man, once my sheikh asked me to take him to an English school in order for his son to learn English. Very brilliant scholar. He wanted his son to learn English, and he asked me to go with them so I could help them. He thought maybe they didn't speak Arabic. I went there. It turned out that the man was an Arab. I won't say from which country. And the man saw me, oh, he's American. And then he said, you know, they really don't know English. In fact, let me show you. He's saying this in Arabic to this sheikh. And then he turned to these other students and he said, here, work out this problem. And alhamdulillah, I got it wrong. And he said, you see, they don't know English. I said, listen, that will be jins al-amal. You know, rewards are according to action, right? So, you ahrajtani, so I have a question for you. I answered your question, now you answer my question. What are the fara'id al-wudu? What are the obligations of wudu? And I'll take them on any of the 4 madhabs. One says 4, one says 7, one says 8. Just tell me any one. I'll take 4. أحمر. And then I said, I'm going to tell you something. See that test in English? We don't have that test on Yom Al-Qiyamah. But if you can't pass my test, you don't make it on Yom Al-Qiyamah. So get your... And I was worried my sheikh, because I was a young man at that time, a lot of too much energy, Hamas, you know. And I was worried my sheikh's going to get mad, because poor guy, he came to get his son into the school, and here I am making this guy look like a fool. And when we went out, he said, Jazakallah khairan ya waladi. He said, may Allah reward you, my son. You put that man in his place. He should be ashamed of himself. He said, A'udhu billah, ma ya'raf ahkam al-wudu. It was directed towards the establishment of Allah's government on earth. So it had an individual goal. This religious establishment had an individual goal, which is the happiness of the people that learn in it and study in it. But it had a collective goal, which is to establish Allah's deen on the earth. The society at which it aimed was one in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the hakim. The culture it aimed at developing was one inspired by the Quran and the Hadith. A culture inspired by the Quran and the Hadith. In the pursuit of truth and its dissemination, it insisted on ijtihad, encouraging the individual effort of the jurisconsult. The faqih, it encouraged him to strive to become an individual of worth, of understanding, of an opinion, not a parroting person that had no deep knowledge of his teaching. And he goes on, I could go on and on. So, الواجبات أكثر من الأوقات. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.